Hey, what's going on, guys? How is everybody doing? You might notice that I look a little different today. That's because I'm in the process of changing some things around in my office, and I don't currently have my camera set up, but that doesn't mean that I can't still make a video for you guys. So for today, you'll just have to deal without seeing my beautiful face on screen. So one of the questions that I get asked all the time, especially when I'm doing any kind of team comp showcase, is why do you use Diona over QiQi, or which hero is better, Diona or QiQi? The main reason I'd been pushing Diona in the past was specifically because of Abyss Floor 12. Before the change up, that floor was dominated by cryo damage, and Diona's shield scaled by 250% against cryo damage. It provided just so much damage prevention that you didn't really have to worry about the cryo legionnaire or the cryo claw that could just like obliterate your health. But with that gone, now there's more of a question of who's better. So we'll be looking to answer that question today to the best of my abilities to hopefully, once and for all, answer the age-old question, who is the better healer, Diona or QiQi? Let's get into it. First things first, I want to address this right off the bat. I don't subscribe to the idea that most of the time there is a clear answer as to who's better. A lot of it is contextual. All the heroes we have in this game are unique and can serve different roles. So I'll tell you guys up front that I don't think that there's 100% best choice here. It'll depend on the team comp you have and what content you're looking to complete. We'll talk about the good and the bad of each character, and hopefully by the end you'll be able to understand my conclusions about why they fit where they do. Real quick, let's take a look at the builds we'll be using in all of the upcoming clips. On Diona, we'll be using the Sacrificial Bow, which is her best in slot weapon, as it synergizes with her skill very well. Each Icy Paw can proc Sacrificial Bow independently, getting you pretty close to a 90% chance that your cooldown will immediately end, even at R1. For her artifacts, we're using a full 4-piece set of Maiden Beloved, which is also her best in slot for heals specifically. Our timepiece and goblet are set to HP percent, and our circlet is on healing bonus. You could also build an HP circlet for better shield, but healing bonus will provide you with more heals than you'll lose in your shields. For substats, just look for HP, as this is what Diona's whole kit revolves around. She's really not here for damage. She's Constellation 6 with her skill at level 9 and burst at level 10. Moving over to QiQi, we have her on a Sacrificial Sword. This is also one of her most accessible best in slot weapons. Since her skill has such a long cooldown at 30 seconds, we hope to get a sword proc to be able to use it again sooner. Of note, the little spirit that pops up when you use her skill, each time it deals damage, it can proc the Sacrificial Sword. However, if she's off the field, she cannot proc the Sacrificial Sword. Her artifact set is also a Maiden Beloved 4-piece set, but this time we're prioritizing attack with a healing bonus circlet. This is what can make QiQi better in adding damage to a team over Diona, because she's already built with attack in mind. We're at Constellation 3 and skill level 6, burst level 9. Moving on, let's take a look at their healing first. Diona and QiQi have some similarities in how they heal. Both heal at a passive rate, Diona from her burst, QiQi from her skill. But what we can see here is that in terms of both frequency and scale, Diona simply outclasses QiQi in this sense. Diona heals every 2 seconds, while QiQi is stuck at every 5. Important to note though that Diona's heals lock you into a certain radius, while QiQi's allow you to stay mobile and go wherever you please. While that's the end of it for Diona when it comes to healing, QiQi has a few more tricks up her sleeve. The reason her skill doesn't heal very much passively is because of its other effect, which is that when it's active and QiQi deals damage with her normal attacks, she'll heal your full team. So this is something that Diona simply can't do. As we saw with strictly the passive healing, Diona was able to heal 2 characters to full, but they had to be active as well, meaning they could potentially die before getting the first healing proc. This can be counteracted though, because Diona does have shields built into her kit. She can make a shield and then send the hero that needs healing into her ring. As long as QiQi's healthy, she can keep your team safe on the sidelines while she heals everyone at the same time. And that's not even the end of QiQi's healing. QiQi still has her burst and Ascension 4, both of which essentially do the same thing. They tag the enemy with a talisman, and any hero that deals damage to that enemy will be healed. This is a better heal when you want to keep up DPS, as it allows you to keep your carry out on the field and basically face tank everything. Whereas her skill requires QiQi to stay on the field dealing damage, and while her damage isn't the worst, it certainly won't match up with your main DPS. In terms of raw healing numbers though, it's not really close. QiQi takes the cake here, and not only on the raw numbers, but also in terms of flexibility, how she can heal. She can either be on the field or off the field, as well as the hero she's healing, whereas with Diona, the hero you need to heal has to be on the field. She has no passive heals to other members of your party. But it's also important not to forget Diona Shield. While shields can't strictly replace heals, they can provide synergy. Some examples to keep an eye out for are teams utilizing a Georesonance or a weapon such as Serpent Spine. Each paw can target a different enemy for widespread cryo application, but more often than not, you'll hit anywhere from 1 to 3 enemies in my experience. And speaking of her shield, now's a great time to talk about energy recharge, because this is where Diona is easily better. Energy generation is super important for both of these heroes as their burst costs 80 energy. Diona gets a bit of a refund though after you acquire her Constellation 1. On a hold, Diona has 5 instances she can generate energy, 1 for each paw, and each one is a 50-50 if it will generate energy. However, QiQi doesn't generate any energy. This isn't just a big downside for her, but for your whole team. Your team works together to generate energy for each other, and if she's not adding to that, while it may only be slight, she's reducing the potential DPS your team can do due to not getting your bursts faster. Now, this was just kind of looking at both Diona and QiQi on a surface level. We obviously didn't dive too deeply into their kits. Now, we could do that. We could look and compare like whose heals are better when you put the same investment in, who's going to apply more damage overall on your team, but I think that it's kind of just important just to look at gameplay and see how they play out. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at some gameplay. On your screen, you're going to see 4 different runs going at the same time. The 2 on your left are going to be Razor and QiQi, and the 2 on the right are, of course, going to be Razor and Diona. There's no beneficial bonus taking at the beginning of the Abyss round, and after we complete 1 floor of Abyss, we're going to take a look at a boss fight with Childe. I'm going to leave you guys with these for a minute so that you can judge the performance for yourself. I'll be back after the runs to discuss my final thoughts on these 2. The biggest difference we were able to see in performance between these two was in the Abyss, and I think what this comes down to is that QiQi is just better at applying a cryo debuff over time and in an AoE situation, making it easier for Razor to spark a superconductor reaction, drastically increasing his DPS. But in a single enemy scenario, this difference in DPS wasn't really noticed, as Diona can hang in terms of cryo application if her skill doesn't have to work overtime. Their healing was pretty much equal. I never felt in danger of dying utilizing either of these heroes. So the question everyone wants to know, who's better? Well, let's answer it like this. In what situations would I use each? Like I mentioned before, I prefer Diona in team comps where her shield provides some kind of synergy. Whether that be on a team utilizing a dual Geo core, you carry a weapon like Serpent Spine, or if you have a retracing Bolide user as a main DPS. It could also come down to weapon selection too. If you're trying to choose between these two and you only have one sacrificial sword, for example, but you want to have Xingqiu on your team, instead of fighting between him and QiQi using the sacrificial sword, give it to Xingqiu and use Diona instead. I also prefer Diona on teams where I'm not using two cryo heroes because of the energy regeneration factor. Because Diona can generate cryo energy herself. She has a much easier time building up her burst than QiQi does. And QiQi is obviously very powerful, I'm not denying that. It's very hard for your team to die when utilizing her properly. Now, maybe this is just me, but I never feel like I need her heals. They're nice, sure. It's like a safety net. It's pretty easy to reset your team if they're all near zero. And this is probably the downside of having pretty much all my heroes geared up, but her heals often feel just like overkill, and I never feel like I have a need for them. Especially with her team building limitations, in which she really wants another cryo unit on the team, I just don't see myself using her that much. That being said, she can certainly out-heal Diona. I don't think anyone is going to disagree with that. She can also add a lot more damage because overall she can apply more cryo with her skill than Diona can, though Diona's burst is better in certain situations. But without another cryo unit to help fuel her burst, you'll end up relying on her skill for healing more often, which will then drop your DPS back down because you're not attacking with your main DPS. QiQi is also more expensive to build because all of her scaling is off of attack, which means that in order to take advantage of the multipliers on her artifacts, you'll need to both level her up quite a bit and her weapon, whereas Diona can get by just fine without a powerful weapon. So in conclusion, Diona is a bit more of a synergistic hero. If you need your healer slot to provide you with a bit more synergy with a shield, go with Diona. Otherwise, if you just want raw power, QiQi's probably your girl. Hopefully, that not only answered in which situations I prefer each of these healers, but also the justifications I made for my decisions. I could just come out here and tell you guys the answer of what I think, but I think it's that whole like man in a fishing pole story, right? I could give you the fish, but when a new species of fish comes along, you'll be asking yourself like, what kind of bait do you use? Do you need a certain pole? My goal is to help you guys understand how fish think and act so that you can apply reason to further situations and hopefully start to logically think it through. Did that make sense? Maybe I went a little bit too hard on the fish metaphor. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Hopefully, y'all did enjoy. If you liked what you saw and want to see more from me, head over to my Twitch page, twitch.tv/xjazzy, or support me right here on YouTube by clicking the red subscribe button. Like the video if you liked it, and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss a video or a live stream. Also, if you want to join our community over on Discord, link will be down in the description below. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Hopefully, you did enjoy. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.